Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. It's Sunday afternoon. I hope you are excited to discuss about the paper of Indian Economic Service Examination. In this discussion, we will discuss each and every question of the paper 6 of Indian Economic Service Examination conducted by UPSC. Last week they have conducted the examination. So in this video, a long video, a live video, where we'll be discussing each and every part of the question and how to understand what you have to write in these type of questions so that you can prepare better for the next year and you can analyze what you have written in the 2024 paper. Okay, I hope this makes sense, everyone. Just tell me if I am audible and visible properly in the chat box. So Indian Economic Service Examination conducted by UPSC, where you will get a job in the government of India's central services and you will become an economist. So you'll be working for policies, you will be working for government policy implications, making economic survey, budget, and there are so many other things where you will get chance to represent India. And if you are a student of economics, then post-graduation economics is the eligibility of this examination, and there are other things as well like applied economics and other. For eligibility, you can connect to my WhatsApp number if you have any doubt regarding eligibility. My WhatsApp number is given in the description. Next thing about this examination is that every year UPSC conducts this examination. It's a very regular examination where you have to write 6 papers. The first 3 papers, General Economics 1, General Economics 2 and General Economics 3, we had discussed in our previous live sessions. So if you haven't watched those, please go back after this video and watch that. Okay. So here we'll be discussing about Indian Economic Service Examination. Indian Economics paper, which is paper 4 in economics, 4 papers. This is the 4th one, last day, afternoon slot. So we'll be discussing about the question, answer and everything. Okay, this has been the past result of our effort and the students' effort. So we have been consistent with our results, like producing AIR 1 since last 4 years. So you can see that these are the results. Later on you can check that out. Why I'm showing you, because whatever I'm going to tell you in this video, it has been implemented by almost all the students and they got the result after it. Now this paper is divided into 3 sections, section A, section B and section C. So we'll be discussing about these section one by one. Section A consists of 6 questions. Sometimes they ask 7 as well, sometimes they ask 5 as well, but majorly they are following the trend of 6 questions. Okay, now this is the first question in front of you where we will understand what exactly you need to write in this question. Okay, now here the word briefly explain the features and objectives of Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana in India. Now here you need to understand by looking at the paper. When you see the paper in the first eye, you will realize that India's top 2 or top 3 priorities, whatever it is in 2024, the paper revolves around it. Okay, now here you need to understand what's the pressing issue in India. One is unemployment, the second is health sector, and the third one is about the currency, that is related to inflation, credit, etc. So you can see that the whole paper, if you divide into a theme of this, like 14-15 questions that they have asked, there's one common theme which is related to unemployment, second is related to health sector, and third one is related to money, and that money means credit, inflation, GST tax collection, etc. So we'll see the paper one by one, we will understand the question. But whenever you try to attempt the examination, my dear students, listen very carefully. Whenever you try to attempt the examination, you need to read the question very carefully, because the question is in front of me, requires you to write answers in 100 words only. So here we'll read the question again, and word by word you need to invest time to think about the structure of the question, because whenever we start writing answer, you must have felt that whenever we write answers, we get haphazard thoughts, we do not get structured thought. As an aspirant of Indian Economic Service examination, you need to understand that whenever we get haphazard thoughts when we read the question, you need to organize those thoughts in mind. So before attempting the question, before writing the answer, you have to understand that it is very, very vital to comprehend the question carefully. People write very fast, they do not invest time in understanding the question. It's like same, suppose you're moving from Delhi to Mumbai with like your own car. What you will do first, you'll find a way to move on. You'll not just come out of your house and you start driving. No, it's not like that. You will put navigation on Google, you will find ways, you will see the roads, etc., and then you move on. So that is the same scenario in answer writing. You have to do it here. The most important thing to note is briefly explain. It means you need to explain, but that too briefly, in very short. What exactly you need to explain is the features and objectives. Okay, two things. So it's very simple. Just write a very one liner introduction, and after that focus on features and objectives of what? Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So here Kaushal Vikas, again it's related to unemployment and employment scenario in our country. Okay, so this is very, very, very important to understand that before we jump on to writing answers, it is vital to understand the question. Okay, so once you start writing, it's like features. So in features we have so many features, like Atmanirbhar Bharat we have launched. In that we have seen so many ideas where government introduce apprenticeship, government introduce trainee learner structure. So these are the things where kaushal is important. So I can say national education policy of 2020 is one of the major feature of this time curing the unemployment scenario in India. The second thing is about primary education. So what I can say, early education. Okay, apologies for my bad handwriting, but I'll be writing and I'll be explaining. Okay, then focus on local areas. Okay, so district level focus, then some kind of a competition. Okay, that will create some kind of competition to gain employment. So these are the few areas where you need to understand that the major features of this scheme. Now if we talk about objectives, under objectives, it's like the objective was to train 8 lakh youth. That was in 2020 and 21. So I'm saying that no need to remember the whole data. The most important thing you need to understand here is that you have to understand that much of data, which is very, very important, and that data is very vital because you need to understand here that whenever you try to attempt any question, they will ask the data, and when they will ask the data, what's the most important thing is no need to remember word by word each and every fact, figure, etc. Here the most important thing is to understand what exactly the demand of the question and write the data wherever you are comfortable. If you're not comfortable in writing that data, remembering that data, no need to do that. Okay, so I hope this makes sense and you are able to understand that what exactly, because people scared with data, and that is why I'm explaining this to you. People scared that, sir, how much data I need to remember, what exactly I need to do here. So these are the things very important to understand. Okay, now come back to this. So they have a training goal of 8 lakh youth in 2020, somewhat around 1000 crores the budget that they have allocated, somewhat 950 plus. Then I told you that a trainee learner centric approach was there. Now the reason is we need to prepare skills, and these skills are very vital because demographic dividend, we have to make that dividend, don't make that liability. So here that is why I'm saying early education, because if you want to destroy any country, destroy their education system. They're not been destroyed by arms and ammunition, they've been destroyed by education. So you can see there are several countries in the world struggling to cope up. Okay, so national education policy again provide holistic growth, employability, because in our structure, our education system was very rigid. So new education policy tries to give the skill that actually market demands. So these are the things. Under objective, it's like industry based skill, because what happened in recent days, if you see, it's very important to understand that what education sector is teaching. So I'll just erase this. Okay, yes. So what I'm saying, that industry, this is industry. Now industry need educated people, but that industry needs advanced skills which should be provided by these education institutions. So that is the problem. The problem lies here. The problem lies here. So first problem lies here, and then we do not get the placements. So these are the things. So placements, I'm talking about all kind of employment, but here Kaushal Vikas Yojana is mainly to developing the skill center with high participation of private sector. Now people say that government is selling everything to private. No, it's not like. Government role is very different. Government's role is like a sun. Okay, government role is like a sun watching earth. So if that sun comes on earth, what will happen? Everything will be destroyed by the heat. So here the reason is government's role is very, very vital, and here under government's role, it is very important that government focus on regulation, government focus on facilitation, government focus on providing the required amount of resources for the private sector to flourish. And that is where, when competition comes in, the customer gets the most benefit. So that's the most important thing here. Okay. Next question, we'll move on to the next question. Discuss the objectives and significance of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So again, another scheme asked by the UPSC. Here discuss what? Two things: objectives and significance of what? Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in India. The question is very clear. People say we do not get marks in UPSC examination. UPSC does not give marks. These are the myth. But if I say, if you understand how to fetch those marks, you will fetch brilliant amount of marks in the examination. That is what I've been telling my students in live classes, in test series discussions, even in the mentorship session that I had with answer writing. Because if you see, one of the question directly came from my YouTube video, that is $5 trillion economy. So you have to understand how the government is thinking, how the whole economy is working throughout the year, and on the basis of that you can predict areas, themes of the question paper. Now this Yojana was launched in 2018. It's a world's largest government funded health scheme. So again, I told you, employment and health, offering rupees 5 lakh per family for secondary and tertiary healthcare. Now you know the healthcare is a biggest challenge in India. In Western countries, due to less population, government can provide healthcare. I'm saying government can provide. The reason is because as the average age of a particular country residents, it increases, it creates a lot of fiscal burden on the government, where working age population is less than the dependent population. Like a country like Japan is struggling, Western economies, European countries, and China is also moving towards that. That's why they abolished the one child policy. So the reason is very simple, that providing healthcare is obviously, I understand, is a responsibility of the state as well as the citizen itself. But the reason is that the coverage with huge population of like almost 1.5 billion, it means 150 crores approximately. Here you need to understand that this can be worked in an insurance coverage. So per year, per family, target economically vulnerable families to access quality healthcare, because in India we consider that vulnerable section is very much vulnerable due to climate change, due to COVID-19 pandemic, and there are several other reasons. So it started before pandemic, so that was a great scenario, and people got free healthcare during COVID as well. I know live examples as well. Now here you need to understand that this will cover over 10 CR poor and 50 crore approximately total beneficiaries. So 10 crore totally under poverty and 50 crore vulnerable families. So you can say almost a third that we are covering. Now these are the objectives that we had just discussed. It's a small 100 words answer, so don't get much space to write it. Now talking about significance, under significance it reduces the financial burden on the family, so finances. It promotes secondary and tertiary healthcare. Okay, secondary and tertiary. It improves the overall healthcare system in the country, so people does not have out of the pocket expenses. That is where a middle class and the poor class people, they struggle. So those who are from the vulnerable section of the society, they struggle to do healthcare expenses. I was reading something in the newspaper where it has been said that one health problem in a family can leave that family into poverty. So in some upcoming question we'll discuss about multidimensional poverty. So in the same lines, if one particular health problem in a family can lead to poverty as well. So that is why out of the pocket expenditure is very vital. And post COVID, you know that healthcare infrastructure has to improve, because these pandemics, we should be prepared. Okay, so that's it for this question. Any doubt you can write in the comment section. Third question: explain the components of National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program in India. What exactly you need to explain? Components of what? National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program. Again, you can say why India is promoting manufacturing sector, because we see that manufacturing sector has a potential to improve the employment ratio in our country. So that is why National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program, NMCP, is a program launched by again central government of India, to improve the global competitiveness among the Indian MSMEs. Now you know that since India got independence in the year 1947, the second most important landmark happened in 1956 with Mahalanobis Model and Industrial Revolution of 1956, and post that government has a great control over industry. So our MSME, which is micro, small, medium enterprises, they are 30 years, 50 years old, which we still called MSME. In US, in Western country, a company in 7 years can leave that tag and become a global giant. The reason is too much protection. There were scenarios very different. We did not want any foreign investment at a large scale, because we got the independence after the struggle of so many years, almost 200 years. So that is why the policy makers were very much clear that we will build slowly, and these were the things. Now if we talk about coming on to the question of the components, now under components it's like regarding MSME, they need some kind of a facility, because when FDI came with large scale in 1991, and it's still coming, so you can say almost 35 years that we are reaching to the fact that we have introduced reforms, still MSMEs are struggling. So for them, they have provided a lean manufacturing competitiveness scheme. Another is like promotion of ICT, because they are technologically not adaptable. So that is where, like information and communication tool, that is where the one of the component is missing. Again, the upgradation in the quality. Upgradation in quality means when we export something, Western countries check quality, and somehow on genuine reason, on some vested reasons, they actually reject our products, and that is where MSME struggles, because export gives two things: One is inflow of foreign exchange into India, and second thing is generate employment in the local areas. Thus, that is why upgradation in quality is very, very, very vital. Then government designed certain kind of clinics for their help. They have introduced some quality management standard and quality technological tools to evaluate their product, their services. The government has provided marketing assistance, technological upgradation, as I told you. They provided incubation center where they can get consultation, mentoring. So this is how they can grow. And the most important thing is standardization, which is very, very vital. Like if you go to any supermarket, you'll find any product has a barcode. So that standardization makes things very, very smooth. So I hope you understand what exactly you have to write in this exam, in this question. Next, discuss the provisions of. Here what we need to discuss is provisions of what? Green box subsidy under AOA of WTO, World Trade Organization. I told you in one of the session that this year you will find a question on WTO. Why? The reason is very simple. 1994 Marrakesh Agreement. That Marrakesh Agreement in 2024 completes 30 years. And why it is important? Because WTO is struggling with its existential crisis. Why? Because no one is taking WTO seriously. People, or I can say countries, are engaging in bilateral trades. They are not respecting MFN status. They are not respecting the decisions given by WTO. There's a west-east divide, or I can say north-south divide under WTO, where I can say India is one of the representative of developing countries and America is for Western countries. So there is some kind of a conflict always goes on. Plus they are heavily funded by West, so we have certain concern regarding biasness, etc. So that is why the WTO is struggling, and that is why the question is here. So I hope you understand how to think, what kind of question I can predict. Okay. Now green box subsidies are domestic support subsidy. Green, as the name suggested. So there are several kind of subsidies under WTO: amber box subsidy, green box, blue box, and I have made a YouTube video on that as well. So you can just go out and check in the playlist section or simply search on YouTube. Now the most important thing here to understand is that green box subsidy has no limit, and that is where certain limits are there, but that too at a very high level. But in comparison to other box subsidies given by WTO, green box subsidy has no limit because it is not linked with production. Like in India, it is linked with production. Like two things, MSP and PDS system. That is a problem for the Western country. That is why they every time increase the green box subsidy, and they try to teach India and other developing countries to restrict their other subsidies. But under green box subsidy, what they exactly do is they provide government funding. Government funding on what? Not production linked. So it means on R&D, and that is where there's no limit. So research and development they can invest, but through this they're supporting their farmers. If I talk about USA, it's almost 2% of the population engaged in agriculture sector, almost 2%, and their contribution to GDP is approximately 2%. So it means you can see that the ratio is equal. The reason is their farmers are very advanced. They have huge amount of farms, so they use technology, and that is why they invest in R&D as well. But here in India we have a very genuine problem regarding irrigation, regarding weather, regarding crop, regarding soil. There's so many things. So here we talk about green box subsidies. The most important is government funding. Second is inclusion program. They said that this is environment related, so we are moving towards sustainable agriculture, and that is where I can say that they provide lot of grants here. Allowance and limits, they have without limits, as I told you. So that's the most important problem into this. And the last and the most important word is decoupled. You must have heard about this term. Decoupled income support means they include direct support for the farmers that is not related to current production or prices. So again, MSP and PDS, they are targeting directly. So that's the problem. The question was very simple. It's like to the point. So you had to write just the provisions and slightly you have to discuss. So all the concept, all the story I told you. So in future, if something comes up, you'll be able to handle it. Then the next one, explain the concept. So here, what exactly you need to explain? The concept and pillars of Vikasit Bharat 2047. So 1947 to 2047 is 100 years. So when India will celebrate 100 years of independence, our policymakers are having an opinion that India should become a developed country. That is Vikasit Bharat agenda plan by government of India to transform country into a developed nation. Okay, at the 100 year, when we mark the 100 year of independence. Now the vision encompasses the various aspects of development like economic growth, like social progress, like environmental sustainability, like good governance. Okay. Now the sole purpose of this is because Honorable Prime Minister of India emphasized through Sankalp of Panch Pran with Viksit Bharat one of the utmost importance. So what he said is there are certain areas where government has to work, where society has to work, and we need to do this sustainably, because that will take care of our environment as well. Now the most important thing here is that along with all these, citizens should become happy. So happiness is also there, but ironically the nations have developed, people are not happy, and that is the problem. So concept you understood. Now talking about pillar. Now under pillar there are 4 pillars. So I'll just write here. Okay. Yuva is the pillar, youth. Garib, poor people. Mahila, it means woman. And Kisan. So 4 pillars. We need to focus on youth of a country. We need to focus on our poor people. Those income level are very, very low. So we need to bring them up. Then regarding women empowerment, women participation, and then farmers, because food security is the most important. Why are we all working? Due to get food on table. Simple. Okay, so I hope the things are very clear here. Next question talks about discuss. So again, in my answer writing mentorship classes in our live batch, we had discussed about few things about discuss, narrate, elucidate, explain, critically analyze. Everything I have explained there. So that is why these are the keys. These question directives, what I call, these are very vital in order to understand what exactly you need to write in the answer, because these directives will give you the direction what exactly UPSC is asking. Okay, next. So discuss the estimates of poverty based on multidimensional poverty index in India. Very popular MPI. What you need to discuss is estimates of poverty. Very direct question, very simple question. Now Niti Aayog released National Multidimensional Poverty Index MPI in 2023. They said around approximately 24 crore people escaped this MP. What is MP? Multidimensional poverty. In last 9 years. 9 years. Now steep decline in poverty from head count ratio of approximately 29% to 11% in last 9 years. So this is a quite an achievement, and it has been in the newspaper as well. So that is why, my dear students, very important to have the understanding of these data, understanding of the topics surfacing in the news. Now there are 12 indicators. Under this 12 indicators, these 12 indicators shows improvement. Among these, mainly UP, Rajasthan, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh shows the record number of decline in poor people. So poorer states obviously record faster decline in comparison to other states, but overall if we see, India's disparity has been coming down. So India is likely to achieve SDG target as well, that is multidimensional poverty, by at least half by 2030, and with the help of Poshan Abhiyan, Anemia Mukt Bharat, focus on healthcare, especially in the rural areas, bringing the healthcare facility on top. That is helping in substantially decreasing the number of poor. So TPDS is one of the things where you counter poverty from the food perspective and healthcare schemes from the health perspective. So National Food Security Act, NFSA, very important act, continued by this government as well. It's around 81 CR, the coverage. So 81 CR is a huge coverage. Food grains to rural and urban population. So this is very, very, very important. All these questions that we had discussed in section A, all were compulsory. Now under section B, which is largely around 200 words, you need to write more content. You will get chance to write intro, body, conclusion. You can write data. You can make a small graph. You can add keywords, more pointers. So section B, that we are going to discuss. Okay. Any question till this now? I'll see the chat box once. If you have any question. I hope everyone is clear. So I'll just check out the chat box if you have any question. Questions I'll take up later, so don't worry. Okay. Second question of section B. So one question has so many parts. Now we are question number 2. This is how we'll go to 14. We'll try to finish by 1:15. So stay tuned. Again, the word discuss. Inclusivity and sustainability as growth strategy of India in recent years. Two things we need to discuss: inclusivity and sustainability as growth strategy. It means for all sector for India in recent years. So when any question comes in of recent years, you can consider the period as 5 years to 10 years. Maximum 10, minimum 5. Now India's growth strategy emphasizes a balance between growth and social equity. Now people are thinking about that when India is growing, inequalities are also growing. Now here you need to understand that when the country increases its growth rate, standard of living, then obviously there must be some unequal growth will be there, because equal growth is not possible. It's not at all possible, equal growth. Why? Because somebody will grow, somebody will follow, then somebody will pick up, somebody will go down. And on the same lines, when the country grows, they grow on a certain trend. And on the basis of that, you need to understand that we have a target of growth with social equity. So government is trying its best to give the as fast as possible growth, but with equality as well. So government is taking several initiative, and that is where this question has come up. Okay. Now here we need to understand that there are several benefits of the growth, but social equity is related to poverty, unemployment, environment, etc. So this dual focus creates a resilient and inclusive economy. Why resilient? Because after COVID-19, India grew rapidly. Even after 2008 economic crisis of global economic crisis, India grew very rapidly later on. And even in the recent recession with US-China trade war, India did not struggle a lot. So that is why it is important. Now here I need to understand. Here I need to explain to you that what is the meaning of inclusivity. So first of all, it is talking about labor market reform. So what government did is there were several labor market wages acts, XYZ Act. They have clubbed into 4 labor codes, and that is where labor market provided the boost, and that is where we got Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, and 4 labor codes. Then again, schemes for microcredit, street vendors. So these are the things that you can see. If you go to your vegetable vendor, you'll find some image of a government scheme where they got some amount of money to buy a thela, to buy their raw material, to buy their some kind of an asset so that they can sell vegetables. And that is, I'm talking about at the ground level. That is really, really great. Okay. Now second is women. When we talk about inclusivity, now you can see that women labor force participation we have seen increased a lot, but in several sectors it is still missing. So that is why Mission Shakti government introduced, that is why National Career Service Project, Mahila Shakti Kendra, these are the things that government introduced for improving the women in almost every sector. Because if you see corporate sector, you will find a lot of women participation there, but not in the other areas. Next one is about the welfare scheme. Social welfare schemes like Jan Dhan Yojana, providing inclusivity in the finance sector, to the bank account, to insurance, Ayushman Bharat in terms of healthcare services, so financial inclusion, healthcare inclusion. So this is how government is thinking about pension as well, Atal Pension Yojana. So these are the things helped in the welfare section. Second last we have is education and skill development. Education is skill development, very, very vital, because education provides a lot of future to the country. Skill development provides employment to the current labor force. So investment in educations like Skill India, Digital India initiatives like tribal university that government introduced. We have been increasing IIMs, IITs, Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So these are the things very, very vital in education. And the last one is rural development. My dear students, remember these 5 heads and you will be able to handle any question related to inclusivity, sustainability, poverty, etc. So here MGNREGA in rural development, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana connecting rural India to the urban areas, to the main highways, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. There are several livelihood and rural infrastructure schemes that is helpful. So that is inclusivity. Now talking about sustainability. Now under sustainability, it is very, very important to have a renewable energy. So number 1 point is renewable energy, green hydrogen. Examples of bioenergy, green credit scheme, not credit card, green credit scheme, green business scheme, bioenergy program. So these were the things. Next is environmental regulation. So first one was green initiatives under renewable energy, then environmental regulation. Then talking about circular economy, it means if somebody is generating money, that money turns rounds to that particular person as well. So what does it mean? It means that economy that providing sustainable solution for waste management, recycling initiatives. Like if you must have seen in your local areas, if you go to restaurant, previously it was served with a plastic spoon. Now it has been served with a wooden spoon or maybe biodegradable spoons. So that is circular economy, where we are creating something to deliver, because in recent years you have seen that e-commerce is on trend. People are not buying from the local shops, they are not buying from offline areas, they are buying online, and that online is creating a lot of different challenges in terms of waste management regarding polybags, parcels, etc. So you can see that companies are doing, government is doing. Next is climate action commitment, like COP mission, National Water Mission, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Action Plan for Climate Change. And if we talk about India's commitment to abroad, we always go to COP, Conference of Parties, All Environmental Summit, and we are committed to save the planet Earth. And the last is regarding agriculture. Sustainable agriculture is very vital, and government is doing great in Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, which is known for its organic farming. So all the questions till now revolved around government schemes. Okay. Next, we have discussed the criteria and the weightage assigned to determining the sharing of tax proceed recommendation of 15th Finance Commission. So discuss what we need to discuss: criteria and weightage assigned for determining sharing the union tax proceed recommendation of 15th Finance Commission. That was very simple, direct question from the Ecoholics study material notes. So income distance 45%. Okay, population, so that's the criteria, 15%. Demographic performance 12.5%. Forest and environment 10%, and tax effort 2.5%, and the last is 45, 15, this area 15%. Okay, so this is how the criteria. Weightage I have already told. So this was the criteria. Now here tax proceed and recommendation. So recommendation, third one. So here we have a recommendation where we have vertical devolution, grants in aid, and majorly horizontal distribution as well. Horizontal means among states, vertical means union to state. So this is how 14th Finance Commission has given a lot, then 15th. So here no need to write like who was the chairman, the constitution of this and that. Article 280 you can mention, but other things you just write whatever they have asked. Next question, discuss. Again the word discuss you can see. What we need to discuss is vision, challenges, and roadmap. So vision, what are the obstacles and how we will proceed for achieving $5 trillion economy in India. This I have explained in a YouTube video of approximately 20 minutes as far as I remember, published 10 days before the examination. So this $5 trillion economy is very vital. Now India, one of the fastest growing major economies, currently ranked at world's 5th largest, sometimes go to 6th, again comes to 5th. Now there are several other agenda where we need to achieve this tag by 2025, but due to COVID-19 pandemic, government is not very much confident with this, but still we have like a few months left for this, so we'll go on the basis of achieving this. Now there are several challenges. So vision is this by 2025. And if you see the economy starting from 1991, every trillion that we are adding to our economy takes lesser and lesser time. So that is why it's a great opportunity for Indians to grow along with the economy. But there are several challenges. So in the challenges you can see the fiscal deficit is the biggest challenge. Due to COVID-19, government has seen lot of expenditure. Then World Bank also predicts the growth rate, because the growth is we are always talking about growth versus inflation, and so core inflation remains high, and there's the major concern behind pushing for growth, and we can say private consumption plus investment. So these are the two things which are missing. Now to achieve this, which is what we call roadmap, we need to go on a sustainable growth model. So almost all the things that I've explained in the last question here you can say. So it's like we need government plus private sector participation, PPP mode. Then we talk about production linked scheme. So production linked incentive scheme, which is very vital for the private sector to provide the facilitation. Capital investment is very vital. Capex, what we call capital expenditure, because if we are not building infrastructure, that's a problem in the long run. multiplier effect which is missing in the economy, so we can capitalize on multiplier effect. And this is very important in terms of infrastructure, and you can see the government is focusing on roads, railways, Vande Bharat trains, etc. Next is about green technology. So green is very vital because solar plants, electricity consumption, energy, that is very important. Even in national capital in Delhi, people struggle to have continuous electricity supply, and that is where somehow we lose millions of rupees in our GDP. So again, it's, and the last one is ease of doing business, which is what we call reforms in GST, reforms in Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, Competition Act, and the last I can figure out is inclusive growth. So inclusive growth, again, all the points that we had discussed in the last question. So I hope this makes sense. Next is examine. Here you can say the examine, the impact. Here what exactly we need to examine is the impact. Now you see, whenever you will find a new scheme in last 2 to 3 years, they will not ask examine. But if a scheme is almost 10 years old, they will ask to critically analyze, they will ask to understand, they will ask to examine. So almost we are completing 10 years of Skill India program on demographic dividend and employment generation. So two things very important you need to focus in this question is the impact of Skill India program on two things, demographic dividend and employment. So here we can say demographic dividend first. Now here demographic dividend is Skill India provides skill to the masses, to the labor force, so that they can become employable. Now this creates a lot of challenges. National skill qualification framework. The policy also proposes a framework which is known as this, to have skill standards. Okay, skill standards for formal education system, for industry requirements, because we need global skills. What is global skills? Global skills means where you can work in anywhere in the world, with anywhere in the world, living in India. So that is very vital to have those kind of impact on demographic dividend, because that creates huge issue. Okay. Next is about women labor force. So women labor force we need to increase. Again, saving rate we need to increase, savings, because in India is like moving towards credit economy. If you see decadal comparison, in 2004 people used to buy everything cash. In 2014 it was like half, but in 2024 people have money in their bank account, but still they buy from no cost EMIs. Okay, then startup and entrepreneurship, then people are able to afford better education and healthcare. So various IT sector, healthcare, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, we have discussed a lot of things into this. But still, what is important is employment generation. So again, employment generation, what are the things we are missing? Skills, again, because there's a mismatch between education sector and the sector that provides employment. Now we need to concentrate on poor states where the GSDP is not very high in contribution. We need to create employment opportunities. Now here people think that creating employment opportunities is the responsibility of government. No, my dear students, not the responsibility of the government. Is the responsibility of the government is to create employment, not only say government jobs, but also the private jobs, also some other kind of a jobs. When Zomato came, people were protesting that restaurant waiters will lose the job, but restaurant waiters lost their job, but riders got the job. So this is how economy shift, and if you understand those shift, you will be on the better side of that. You will not become a victim of that change. Then the next thing is about Human Development Index, HDI. HDI is very vital because India ranks around 130 and is hovering since last 10 to 15 years. So it is again very important. Informal economy, we need to make that economy formal. What is informal economy? Where labor is not having any working hours fixed, they do not have social security, they do not have pension plan, etc. And the most important impact of employment generation is the growth of service sector. Service sector has grew rapidly and it did not create enough job in comparison to the growth. So this is how you form the answer to this. Okay. Next we have discussed the context to which Manrega has been successful in combating the problem of rural employment. Now this question is very much related to my mentorship session which I have taken. Those who are attending this session, they must have realized that the question is directly from our live answer writing sessions. Okay, but that was related to urban unemployment, but it was related to Manrega only. So discuss the context. Okay, here context. So I hope you remember I told you about the difference between content and the context, to which Manrega has been successful in combating the problem of rural unemployment. Suggest measures. So here you have to suggest measure as well to make it more effective. Okay, so Manrega has been very successful in various concepts. 73,000 crores allocated in FY23 budget. Now this provides a significant reduction in poverty levels. It has been praised by a World Bank report as well in 2014, because this is how you can do a rural development. This enabled rural women as well. This enabled youth as well, because the homogeneous nature of the rural employment provides 100 days of employment between the age of 18 to 30 annually to unemployed youth as well. If they are not able to provide employment, they provide allowance as well. Okay. Then we have COVID-19 relief. So people have been employed during this time as well, where the whole country, whole world was struggling. And poverty reduction was one of the major, I can say, the successful silver lines. Okay. So this provides socially weaker sections as well, their upliftment. But the second part of the question focus on measures, how to make it more effective. It means you have to provide certain points where you feel that Manrega is lacking. So that is why I can say the fund dispersal is very much delayed. Wage rate has been constant, low wage rate. Gram Panchayat's role are very weak and very minimal here in this. Some projects are incomplete, so if we are not completing those, it means we are just distributing money to the masses. And then I can say the leakages. So leakages are very, very, very vital. Fake job cards, double names, not updating the records on time, etc. So some measures what exactly we can take is, we can strengthen the scheme, interdepartmental coordination we can do gender wage parity, we can do immediate work allocation. So if I need work, how much time I will be there, remain unemployed before I get a work. And empowering Gram Panchayat, again dispersal of fund very quickly, and this is how you can frame your answer. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Now bring out the factors responsible for rapid urbanization in India. Rapid urbanization, factors responsible. In recent years, you can see. Suggest policy measures. So you have to suggest what? Policy measures to prevent undesirable effect of rapid urbanization. You can see what the most important thing is of rapid urbanization is water shortage. Traffic jams, roads are not equipped to handle this. So there were several problems, but these are the basic problems. But if I talk about urbanization, helped a lot. So economic opportunities, that was the major factor responsible for rapid urbanization. Economic opportunities are better in bigger cities. Industrialization, if you see, industrialization is one of the key. If you see Chhattisgarh, The whole Chhattisgarh revolves around Raipur, Bhilai, and uh, I think one more city I am forgetting, Durg. Yes. So that because of industrial area. Okay. Next is infrastructure development. Infrastructure are well developed, equipped. There are multi-story buildings, so that supports the influx. Then rural urban disparities. So rural urban disparities creates a push factor from rural to urban areas and pull factor because of these three in urban areas. Then population growth. So national population growth area contributes significantly to urbanization. Currently stands around 34%, although we are waiting for census data as well. And then government policies. We can take benefits in urban areas. Now, what are the policy measures that prevent undesirable effect? Is like, first I can say the balanced regional development. So if you talk about Delhi, developing Gurugram, Noida, these are the things very, very vital. So balanced regional development, gradually you build satellite towns. Then sustainable urban planning. So before any city explodes, you have to have a urban planning. So if you see the tier 2 cities like Jaipur, Indore, if you talk about Nagpur, if you talk about in South India, there are several cities. They are about to blast. Before they blast and remain unsustainable, government should do something. Then affordable housing is very vital. Then public transport, because that is where we can curtail the problem of traffic jams and as well as the pollution. Then environmental regulation, social service. So these are the things. This is how you can frame your answer, and this is how you will be able to cover 200 words in this. Next, what are the pillars of Make in India? Direct question. What they are asking? Pillars. Now discuss the impact of Make in India on manufacturing and automobile sector. So two impacts you need to discuss. So first is pillars. Pillars are like new process. Okay. Pillars are new process, new infrastructure, new sectors and new mindset. This is the 4 pillars of Make in India. Okay, again new processes, so नए तरीके से काम करना, new infrastructure, technological plus the physical infrastructure, new sectors, developing AI, textile, pharmaceutical, automobiles, etc. And the mindset, the approach, the will of political people, those who are making policies. Now what's the impact? So here we are discussing the impact of on 2 sectors, manufacturing and automobile sector. So what are these impact? Now first one is related to FDI. FDI attracted, helped us in supply chain, policies and skill development. So policies must be friendly, plus the skill which is required by these Make in India companies. This is very vital to have policy and skill development so that you understand what exactly the talent needed by the companies, they will be available in the stipulated time period plus in the areas. Developing industrial clusters. Okay, Make in India was boosted recently with PLI scheme, performance linked incentive scheme or production linked incentive. Make in India plan is full on track to setting up the manufacturing plants of big companies like Apple, where they are shifting from China to India, and that is where we can build. So that is on manufacturing sector. In automobile sector, again I can say FDI is one of the major thing, and focus on EVs, especially if we talk about automobile sector. Railway sector, that is also another where we can say that government is pushing a lot. National automotive testing, R&D of infrastructure, talking about the technology so that we can improve the safety in the road safety and automobile sector. And government allowed 100% automatic under automatic route FDI. So government is doing everything to boost these 2 sectors, because Automobile is one of the most important thing, where we are struggling with public transport, so that is the most important thing to take advantage. Okay. Next we have give an account of recent labor market reform in India. So I hope you know that 29 central labor laws converted into 4 codes, and that is the question's main crux. Critically evaluate. It means you have to first provide the criticism, then provide the solution to that, so that you evaluate impact of technological changes on labor market. With the advent of AI, ML, data science, etc., this will create changes, shift. So that's the question is there. Okay, so here we start with the first part of the question. Give an account of recent labor reforms. So under recent labor reforms, you can say labor reforms in India are very important, and these 4 code, like 4 comprehensive labor code on wages, industrial relation code, social security code, and the last one is operational safety, health and working condition code. Now these reforms aim to simplify and modernize labor regulation. Labor regulation are very, very important. They want to modernize these regulations to help in ease of doing business, enhance worker rights, so protecting the rights of employees and the employers both, and broader social security coverage with flexible employment terms to accommodate new form of work, like post COVID we have seen very commonly work from home, people working remotely, and what are the changes, what are the things, what are the protection from the employee and employer perspective. Now what the impact here? Impact we can say in terms of positive and negative. So automation has increased, so I can say productivity has increased, new jobs created in the related field, so that is again. But negative impact is those who don't know the technology, they are struggling, so I can say displacement of labor. So towards labor intensive sector facing huge influx of labor, while other people are not getting that much of talent. Now if I talk about a skill, now skill may, with the technology you can see the upliftment is possible, but a skill gap is there. Those who don't know the technology, they are struggling, frauds and everything is there. Next is about the gig economy. So gig economy means where there is no fixed working hours, no fixed pay, etc. So flexible work opportunity, people are loving it, but there's a job insecurity as well, that creates a problem. So again, these are the things which I can say the impact. Next is policies. Policies response are like government need to adapt policies to support workers through retraining programs, social safety, and then investment in education. Inequality we need to take care, digital divide we need to take care. So these are the things you can write in the answer, and this is how you will get the exact idea. Okay. Next is question number 10. Explain. Now explain the provisions of recent foreign trade in the context of export, promotion and ease of doing business. Substantiate your answer. It means you have to give lot of evidences so that it can help. Okay. Now explain the provision of recent foreign trade policy of 2021 to 2026. Now this FTP has several initiatives. One is digital initiatives. Another one is export promotion schemes. Under digital initiatives, we have to reduce paperwork, we have to streamline the procedure. This includes e-commerce, export hub, expansion in e-filing, tax system, licensing, etc. Under export promotion, we have support to the exporters, support to the schemes, export promotion of capital goods, advance authorization to provide duty exemption on imports, capital goods, raw material, custom clearance, etc. Then we have market Diversification, market diversification. What does it mean? That focusing on new and emerging markets. It's not like traditional sectors will be ruling. Scenario is changing. Next is support to MSMEs. So support to MSME is very important right now because they are not able to compete with the FDI. They are not able to compete with the foreign influx of technology and everything. So that is why special initiatives, providing knowledge to them, participation in international trade, that is how we are doing. And the last one is trade facilitation. Trade facilitation means custom procedure, we need to ease that. Second is about transaction cost, we need to reduce the transportation as well as transaction cost, logistic infrastructure, single window clearance system. Because I remember that I know some of the people, those who import from China or import from Western countries, the amount of time it takes is huge. Suppose it takes 10 days to come something from China, it will take 5 days to reach India, but it will take 5 days in custom to get the clearance, and that is where everything is, we are losing. So the most important thing here you need to understand is, in order to boost India's export performance, we need to provide a conducive environment so that we can enhance the competitiveness, we can promote the exporters, we can simplify the process, we can enter into a global market, and that is where India can achieve its target of becoming a developed country by 2047. Now we'll discuss about section C. That's a large section where you have to write answers in 300 words, more examples, more context, more of everything. Section C, give an account of recent trends in agriculture growth rates in India. So give an account means you have to provide certain kind of data where you have to provide the growth rates, the factors behind it, etc. And last is critically evaluate government initiative for promoting sustainable agriculture development. So here a bigger question, you can see it's like more of the accountability you need to check here in this question. So growth rate in agriculture and allied sector growing at approximately 4.6% over the years. It is obviously below the desired level, but GDP contribution of agriculture share was around 35% in 1990 and 91, which is around 15% in 2022-23. So you can see that contribution of agriculture to GDP has been coming down, but if you see the current growth rate estimated under GDP, which is for like 2023-24, it is approximately 1.8%. That is in 24 financial year 2023-24, and it has come down from 4% last year. So it means 4% it was in 23 financial year. So that indicates that the sector is under stress. Sectoral deflator also decreased. Deflator, I hope you understand. GDP deflator 9.4, say it comes down to 3.7. That is in FY24. And employment is approximately around 55%. So employment is there. So these are the recent trends. Income disparity is also there. Capital formation is also very, very less. It has also decreased. So that is why this question is coming up in front of you. The reason is very simple. It has been in news. It has been in newspaper articles. If you have read it, you would have been able to easily answer this. Now critically evaluate government initiative for promoting this. Now these initiatives are related to soil health card, portable mobile application, Krishi Sakhi coverage program, soil testing, sample testing, implementation gaps, subsidy grants, inequitable distribution, community involvement. These are the things that is the need of the hour. Funding constraint is one of them. Then market fluctuation. Then problem is related to weather. We don't have anything to take care of that. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana was there, but problem with the disbursement. Achievements are also there regarding organic farming. Farmers' livelihood is also increasing. But the reason is very simple here. You need to understand that agriculture is the need of the hour and we need to do it sustainability. So that's it. That exactly majorly you have to write in this answer. Okay. 12th question. The Start of India initiative aims at fostering entrepreneurship, promoting innovation by creating an ecosystem conducive to growth in India. The word elucidate. So here you have to quote unquote, there's a sentence written by UPSC. You have to explain that in detail. That's the meaning of elucidate. Now, Startup India scheme have key pillars. One is funding support. Next is industry, academia, partnership, and simplification is the third point. Now, government is focusing on 3 C's. Now, what is 3 C's? One is capital, courage, connections. So these are the 3 C's which is very important where government is focusing in. Rise in entrepreneurship, significant increase in entrepreneurship, probably in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, increase in women participation. So again, women angle is very important here. Lot of women founder making the startups goes to unicorn. Ecosystem is also created by government, like the fees reduction, trademark fees, patent fees, tax filing fees, tax resumption, etc. So tax relief 3 years. Then we have Atal Innovation Mission, creating innovation hub. Then we have IPR protection because people are making, so government has a role to protect that. We have action plan as well. We have national startup awards to recognize them. So there have been there. Success has also been achieved. India is like third largest startup ecosystem. Annual growth is around 12 to 15% annual growth, which Indian startups are growing. Department of Promotion of Industrial Trade, DPIIT, recognized startups also. So over 1 lakh startup they are recognized as under Startup India program. Unicorns are also there, approximately 110 plus unicorn that India achieved in last few years. So sectoral diversity is also there. So this is how you have to frame your answer and elucidate. Next is discuss the consequences of inflation targeting monetary policy in India. Iske consequences we need to discuss. It means, is it bad or is it good? Then next, describe the role of RBI to ensure financial stability. Now RBI's role is pretty much clear. They have to aim growth and inflation. So inflation under control, growth is always high. Now when we explicitly target plus minus 2% of the inflation, which is 4% on a base, plus it can go up to below as 2 and as high as 6. So this is the aim. Now here we need to understand that band has a consequences. One is price stability. It means people can predict what exactly the government is doing, what exactly RBI will do. So predictability is most important thing. Second, we see the price stability. Second thing is about the inflation expectation. Third one is credibility. Now India has a credibility, like people have trust on rupee. Rupee is becoming stronger, more credible, that it will not lose its value. Then inflation rates, core inflation, etc. And the most important thing is foreign investment. That is where capital comes in. So these are the things works in a favor. But if I talk about negative consequences, because they ask the question regarding consequences, we sacrifice growth. We have a rigid policy here in this. We do not care of supply side factors, so supply side factors sometimes ignored. When we have everything fixed in monetary, then fiscal policy becomes dominant. Then exchange rate plays a very important role here because we cannot adjust much domestically, so we will be very much dependent on exchange rates. And socioeconomic consequences regarding macroeconomic indicators for interest rates, demand supply in the economy of credit, income level, etc. So inflation targeting is good, but it should not sacrifice growth. That's what I feel. Now the role of RBI in ensuring financial stability is very simple. It's a very bookish question that they have asked, but here your creativity comes in terms of describe. So here RBI formulates the policy with the help of monetary policy committee. They adjust the key interest rate like repo rate, reverse repo rate. They understand the money supply, money demand. They take care of NBFC's regulation. They take care of banks as well, compliance, audits. They maintain forex reserves, which is one of the highest in recent times. And at last they provide financial inclusion. So Jana Dhan Yojana, if you remember, that is again creating a favorable impact. Last question. So it's a very simple question that they have asked. Do you think? So you think means don't give your personal opinion. Give whatever opinion you have read in newspaper and books. I think we have one more, 14th question. That imposition of GST has led to enhanced tax collection for center and the states. Has it reduced incidence of taxation on common people? Incidence of taxation means those who are paying tax and getting benefits. They are two different people. So that's the incidence of taxation. Substantiate your answer. This is another very important because you need to give examples. Okay. Now we have a record GST collection in March for the first time in the history of GST implementation. In March, we have collected huge amount of money, which is around 1.78 lakh crore. So you can see that collection is increasing, but rates are not going down. What does it mean? It means the tax base is increasing. So the people who are paying tax, they are increasing. Startup India, every company is opening. They are paying GST. They are paying corporate income tax. So these are the things which are very vital. That increase the revenue of the state. State here does not mean the states, but the government, central government. Okay. So in the past 6 years, you can say that GST has been a revolution. It has received nearly 24% revenue growth in comparison to the old system under VAT. And it has simplified as well. So no cascading effect. Cascading effect means multiple time tax imposition. So revenue distribution also there, IGST, SGST, CGST. Again, so that really creates a good environment under taxation. Now we have changed the revenue structure. Issues we need to understand. One is state have reduced the revenue autonomy. So that is why petrol, electricity and these are the things still out of the ambit of GST. We need to bring a fiscal imbalance, correction the fiscal imbalance, so that states can also become independent. So these are the things. But regarding incidence of taxation on common people, I feel that is yet to be implemented, because cascading effect is still there. Because if you see petroleum, we don't have GST on petroleum, so that is why somewhere or the other we're not getting the full benefit. Plus we don't have uniform tax rates. So 5%, 18%, 12%, 28%, there are several. So try to bring it as close as possible. Now GST, when GST government will lower the GST, it will lower the production cost. So when the production cost goes down, the benefit goes to the consumer. So these were the things that must be there in your answer. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. I hope you understood the majority of our questions, how we can implement. My dear students, if you are preparing for this examination, I would like to tell you that writing answer is the key. So do focus on revision, then do a lot of writing practice, because you don't speak there, you will write there. So your copy will represent there, and that is where you will get the selection. And Ecoholics is having expertise in that. We can provide mentorship to you. We can provide all the live classes, recorded classes, all 6 papers, weekly answer writing session for your answer practice with model answers as well. Timely evaluation, so before your next test you'll get the evaluated copy so that you can rectify. Hard copy study material will be delivered to your doorstep. घर पे आएगा आपके study material. Current affairs PDF you will get, and the doubt session which is unlimited. WhatsApp, be it Zoom call, email, phone call with the faculty, live classes, etc. So new batch we are starting very soon, 8th July for 2025 people. You'll get a lot of things. You can check that out on our website. So this is our website, ecoholics.in. You'll get, and still if you have any query from me, you can call me on this number. Okay, I'll be available and happily clearing all your doubts. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.